In this video, we're looking at Practice 20 in the Tabe Tutor Practice Math Book 1. And if we look at our table of contents, this is a short unit. It's only 4 lessons about decimals. That starts on page 44. So if you turn with me to page 44, we are almost through this book. If you've been with me from day one, we've covered a lot of math problems here. So let's take a look at comparing decimals. And if you haven't watched the instruction video, I strongly recommend that you do that before looking at this lesson. That will help you to understand greater than, less than. But just to review those symbols, because a lot of folks have trouble with these, the directions on these. This one is less than, and then this one is greater than. So when we compare these decimals, we're going to be using these symbols to determine which decimal is bigger, which is smaller, and so forth. Okay, number 1, we've got Lori's time for the 100-meter sprint is 11 and 68 hundredths seconds. Elise sprints the same distance in a time of 11 and 9 hundredths seconds. Who has the faster time, Lori or Elise? So a couple of things here. We really don't need this number. It's telling us the length of the race. Has nothing to do with our problem. 11 and 68 hundredths goes with Lori. Elise has a time of 11 and 9 hundredths seconds. And we're looking at the person who has the faster time. In this case, faster means smaller. If it takes you longer to run the race, that means that you are going at a slower pace than the person who has the faster time. So the first thing I want to do is set up my decimals. And I know that Lori is 11 and, so that's 11.68 hundredths. Elise is 11 and 9 hundredths seconds. So who has the smaller time? Who has the faster time? That would be Elise. Elise is the faster of the two runners because 11 and 9 hundredths is less than 11 and 68 hundredths. So the answer I want is C. Okay. These are not easy questions, in my opinion. Even though I didn't have to really do any math, there's no calculation. This is about reading and understanding the problem, and sometimes that's harder to do than calculation. Number 2, Edwin creates a table to compare the price of a book at 4 stores. So in the first column I have 4 different stores, and in the second column I have the cost at each of those stores. Which store charges the least for the book? And again, least is smallest. So which of them has the smallest price? They're all pretty close. They all have the $10. $10.98 is the largest. $10.87 is the smallest. And that goes with the store called Turn the Page. So on number 2, I would go with A. And that table had already arranged those for me according to their place values. They're all stacked up the way they should be. Number 3. Anderson wants to adopt the oldest dog at a shelter, an animal shelter. He wants the oldest. Spike is this many years old. Scooter is this many. And Spud is this many. Sparky is this many. Which dog is the oldest? Now, one thing that makes this problem a little bit tougher is that all the names start with S. So you have to be very careful that you get the number with the dog that it belongs to. It helps me if the names are all very different for some reason. But we have 4 dogs and we have 4 ages. Spike is 7 3/15 of a year old. Scooter is 7.317. Spud is 7.312. And Sparky is 7.309. And we're looking for the oldest. So if you compare these decimals, the 7s are all the same. The 3s are all the same. Sparky is the youngest. So we definitely don't want to use Sparky as the dog in question. Then the 1s are all the same. 5, 7, and 2, which of those is largest? I'm not sure what's happening with that's happened 2 or 3 times now, so I'm not sure what happened. I think I'm hitting something accidentally. Sorry about that. Which of these is the largest? Of course, that's going to be Scooter. Scooter is the oldest dog because his number is the largest, although the numbers are very close. So number 3, the answer is D. Number 4. Tanya shops for a tablecloth. The length must be greater than 1.75 yards and less than 1.93 yards. So let me set this up for you as an inequality. What they're saying is that the minimum is 175 and the maximum is 1.93. So the answer that I'm looking for in this box has to be bigger than 1.75 and smaller than 1.93. So which of these numbers, we have 4 choices of tablecloths and 4 different lengths, which of these numbers could fit in that box? Well, let me do it this way. 1.73, could that fit in the box? No, that would be down here. It's below the minimum. 1.80 could fit in the box. 1.95 would be greater than the 93, and 1.99 would be greater still. So the only one of those that could possibly fit is the 1.80. And that goes with tablecloth 2. Okay, number 5. Abby measures 4/100 meter of snow in her backyard. Which 2 values show the amount of snowfall Abby measures in standard form? Well, 4/100 looks like this. It's 2 places for hundredths. So I'm looking for answers that match this one. And there are 2 of them that we need to find. The first one is 4/10, and that is not what I'm looking for. B is one of my choices because that could definitely have that ghost zero out there. B is 4/100. Actually, it's 40,000ths, which simplifies to 4/100. So B is one of them. C is 404,000ths. That's not what we're looking for. D is 4,000ths. That's not what I'm looking for. E is like A. It reduces to 4/10. F is the one that I need. So the two that match my answer, 4/100ths, are B and F. Number 6. What is the place value of the underlined digit in 35 and 291 thousandths? The 1 is in the third decimal place, so that is the thousandths place. And we covered this in the instructional video, so if you haven't seen that, you definitely need to watch that one. Number 7. The table shows the average speed of drivers in a car race. So we have 4 drivers and 4 very similar speeds. Who has the fastest average speed? Now, this is talking about miles per hour, so fastest is going to be equate to the greatest. This is not finishing times in seconds or minutes. This is the actual speed of the engine. So we need to look for the greatest number. And if we compare these, again, I like to do a line. The ones are all the same. The 8 and the 8, those are all the same. Okay, on this one, I have a 7, an 8, an 8, and a 6. So this is the slowest. We can eliminate this one. We can eliminate the 7 because that's smaller than 8/10 in either of those. So now I'm down to the 8s matching up. 1 and 9. Which of those is bigger? The 9 is bigger. So this is the fastest of the speeds. You just have to use the process of elimination and some logic there. So Dale looks like the fastest driver. The answer to number 7 is going to be Dale. That is C. Again, I didn't have to do any math. I just had to rank those in order. Number 8. A red oak tree grows as fast as 65 thousandths of an inch per day. A Norway maple grows as fast as 49 thousandths inch per day. Which tree grows faster, the red oak or the Norway maple? So let's compare them. We have 0.065 and 0.049. So we're looking at these two. The zeros are the same. The zeros are the same. Which of these is bigger? It's this one. So the red oak goes with that number. And I should have labeled that very clearly. That's another place to make a mistake if you get the names mixed up. The red oak goes faster because the 6.5 is greater than the 4.9. So we're going to go with B on this one. I want you to notice that D has the right math sentence, but it has the wrong name. The red oak goes with the bigger number. So be very careful with that. The answer to number 8 is B. Number 9. Which two forms are equal to that number? 3 and 141 thousandths. So A is definitely one of them. That's how you say that number. 3 and 141 thousandths. Then I have to pick the other one. There's another one. Remember, we got to get two of them. C had me puzzled for just a minute. Be careful. I wasn't looking at the words. I was focusing on the numbers. But this is not correct. Thousand is in front of a decimal place. So you definitely want to be careful with that one. It almost got me. If you're looking at expanded form, you have a 3, you have a 1 in the tenths place, a 4 in the hundredths place, and a 1 in the thousandths place for our number. So I'm looking for an answer that matches this, and it's going to be E. This is a tough one. You really have to read carefully. Pay close attention to thousand and thousandth, because those two endings make all the difference in the world here. Good question. Number 10. Which comparison is true? Which one of these is a true statement? A says that 10.23 is less than 10.05. That is not true. B says that 10.05 is greater than 10.14. That is not true. 10.14 is less than 10.9. Go ahead and add a 0 there. I'm liking that one. And finally, 10.9, you can add a 0, is less than 10.23. That is not true. So the answer to number 10 is C. In which list are the numbers ordered from least to greatest? Now, one thing I want you to notice, and they were very nice to me here, all of them have the same 4 numbers. Okay, we've got the same numbers in A that we have in D. They're just in a different order. So what I'm going to do is take the numbers from A, and they're the same numbers all the way down, but I'm going to put these in order and then see which one matches what I have. I've seen this skill on employment tests. This is a good one to know. Even if you're not going to get a high school diploma, this skill is used a lot in other areas. So let's start our comparison. We can't tell anything here. They're all the same. In this one, I have 1, 0, 0, and 1. So I want to focus on this one and this one, the zeros. Is 085 or 074 smaller? 074 is the smallest. That's the smallest one. This next one is, which way are we going here? Least to greatest. So let me change this word to least. So this is the smallest, the least one. This one would be next. Okay. So we've taken those two out of the picture. then would you say that 102 or 113 comes next? This is the third one. (102) is smaller than 113. This is the biggest. Okay. So the order that I would put those in, let me go ahead and actually write it. I have 3.04, 3.8085, 3.102, and 3.113. And let's just make sure that these are in the right order. 74, 85, 102, and 113. So this is least to greatest. Now I just need to match that to the correct answer. So 3.074 comes first. It would have to be D. Those are tricky. We didn't do any calculation. It's a matter of ordering things from least to greatest. Okay, number 11, the answer is D. Number 12. Clark reads a recipe that calls for 2 25/100 cups of flour. What is the amount of flour in standard form? So 2 and 25/100 looks like that number, and that looks like C. So the answer to number 12 is C. Number 13. What is 4.39 in word form? And that is 4 39/100. 4 39/100. So which answer do you want me to choose? A is 4 30/100. B is 4 39/100. C is 4 39/100. And D is 4 39/1000. The answer is C. It is not B, because that one is hundred. We need hundredths. If you have a decimal, you need the TH. Number 14. Divers earn the following scores at a competition. What are the highest and lowest scores? So I need to put these in order, and unfortunately there are a lot of them, so be careful. There's 0.45, 296.05, 297.65, 296.35, 296.95, and 297.85. And let me be sure, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, that I got all the divers. Make sure you got all the scores. Now I am physically going to erase the 2's because they're all the same. The 9's are all the same. And this just makes it a little easier for my eyes to judge. Of these numbers, which is the smallest? Well, it's going to have to be one of the 6's. And I have 605, 635, and 695. The smallest is this one. So this is the smallest score. And I can get rid of the other 6's. We don't need those. Now I want the largest. So it's one of my sevens. I have 745, 765, 785. 785 is the largest of these. So the two numbers that have the largest, what am I saying? The smallest, the highest and lowest, smallest and largest. The 605 is going to be the smallest. That's this one. And then the largest is the 7.85, which is down here. So the two end scores for number 14 are B and F. Number 15. What is 7 and 815 thousandths in standard form? 7 and 815 thousandths. That's going to be C. Just going from word form, and I shouldn't say just, that's not easy to do. We're going from word form to standard form. Number 16. The table shows the mass of 4 apples that Kobe bought at a farmer's market. He bought a Gala, a Fuji, a Granny Smith, and a Macintosh, and the mass is in kilograms. Which of Kobe's apples has the least mass? Smallest mass. So we're looking at a comparison. I would not try to eyeball it. I do not recommend that on decimals, because even if you're an expert, your eye will make a mistake. Okay, I'm going to fill in that space with a 0 so that everything lines up. Take off the zeros and the ones. Those don't help me at all. Which of these numbers left is the smallest? It's this one, the 22. And that goes with this number. If you put those back in, that's the Macintosh. So the answer to number 16 is D. Number 17. Which expression is equal to 105 thousandths? 105 thousandths. Well, that's a 0 in the whole number place, a 1 in the tens place, a 0 in the hundredths place, and a 5 in the thousandths place. So this is expanded form. I'm liking answer B. It matches exactly with what I wrote in my expanded form. I just wrote mine vertically and B is horizontal, but it is the same thing. In my opinion, this is not an easy lesson. If you have questions about this lesson, please don't hesitate to call your teacher, and he or she will be happy to help you get those questions answered. I'll see you in the next video where we'll be rounding decimals, and I will see you soon. Bye-bye.